Today's episode is brought to you by Coal Creek Equine, makers of the best equine spa in the industry. If you want your horses to be world champions, you better put them in a Coal Creek. Well, we have our guest here, Chad Beus, correct?
Correct.
I got it right
You
that
got it
time.
right.
Chad, you are the co-founder of the Pink Buckle program. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Well, Chad, great to have you here on the Uncut Real Raw Podcast, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very
Appreciate
good.
it.
Have you listened to the podcast before?
A few times. I hadn't before we talked on the phone. I'd seen clips,
Yes.
you know, so people will send me clips, been very interested in it, but I hadn't watched a full one until I had spoken
Who
to
did you watch when you watched it? What interview?
The one with Jason Martin and...
Yeah,
and-
that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Those guys.
Well, he and I are really good friends,
Are
so
they?
it was, it was good.
I really enjoyed that podcast. They were very genuine, authentic. They talked a lot about their struggles, their successes. People loved it. Yeah.
Well, they're so popular and so well known that having Charlie and Jason kind of open up, it was neat to listen to. I
Very
enjoyed it.
genuine human beings. I loved it. Loved it. Yeah. And I think that when I went to dinner with them after the podcast, they brought up your name. I keep hearing your name over and over again and this Pink Buckle program. And I said, okay, this is a game changer. It's changing the industry. I want to know who invented it, how they came up with it, why they did it. And so that's why I wanted to interview you, because, you know, you're doing something that's different. I love talking to people that are outside the box. Don't do the same fucking thing over and over and over again. You know, Western industries prides itself on tradition, and I think a lot of that is important. But it's also their biggest Achilles heel, is that they keep doing the same shit they've done for 50 years.
Couldn't agree more.
And it never grows. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying throw tradition out the window, but shit, there's got to be a happy balance there between tradition and advancing everything.
For sure.
You know?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, Chad, let's go back to the beginning. First of all, how old are you, mate?
So I'm 55.
55, okay.
Yeah.
Where were you born?
I was born in a little town called Kuna, Idaho. So I'm originally from Idaho.
Okay.
My whole childhood was in Idaho.
Righto. And you grew up with horses, parents into horses? What's the deal?
So I was raised on a dairy farm,
Okay.
but my dad had horses. So he probably had 20 mares, you know, maybe that varied, sometimes 10.
Breeding them for what, though? Or
He
riding them?
Well, he showed a little bit back then they did, of course, Pleasure and Halter at the same time. So they were show horses, but kind of on a weekend level.
So your dad was very pro horses.
Yeah, he had them. My brother and I, so there were 5 of us. I have 3 sisters and a brother, and my brother and I were really attached to the horses, enjoyed it, and participated in it. My sisters didn't, but my dad always loved the horses.
And basically, growing up as a kid, he encouraged you to get involved with horses, the horsemanship. What did you guys show as kids?
So I didn't show a lot. We were too busy. I mean, if you know the dairy farming, you didn't.
Kids are just free labor.
Yeah, so we were working, but he'd send a few horses out to other people to have them show, and we would go to the shows sometimes on the weekend, but I didn't show much as a youth.
What about your brother?
He didn't either.
Okay.
We broke a lot of horses. You know, we wouldn't touch them until they were 2, so it got a little wild at times, but that's kind of the way we grew up.
So who was your main influence on horsemanship as a kid growing up, like breaking these colts and shit like that? Who was teaching you guys? You and your brother?
There was a guy, I don't know if you would have heard his name, Art Harding.
No.
He showed snaffle bit type stuff back in the day.
Okay, what years would this mean?
Probably like from the mid 70s to the mid 80s.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
And where'd he show these horses? What state?
Idaho.
Okay.
And I worked for him for a little while. My dad sent me off to work for him for a little while, and so
As a teenager?
Yeah, well, real young.
Yeah.
So 12, 13.
Yeah.
I kind of just worked for him after school, and so I rode a little bit then, but that was more snaffle bit reining type stuff.
Reining horses, cow horses or reiners?
He did a little bit of everything.
And they probably did back then just to make a living.
Yeah, I think he had to.
Yeah. So he was your main influence on horsemanship.
I would say, yeah.
Okay. What do you think some of the biggest lessons you took away from that guy as a young kid in the horsemanship part of it? What was his niche, or what did you really
I think what I realized then is that he had a lot of knowledge, and my background was just the enjoyment of the horses. My dad raised them, and I realized how little I knew, probably. And how much you could learn.
Yeah.
But then I got busy with other things and kind of your teenage years.
Sports girls, shit like that.
And then it kind of fizzled out.
Okay. So when you obviously graduated high school, man?
Yep.
Okay. Did you go to college? What did you want to do after that?
So I didn't. I actually started a business. My first business that I started was when I was in high school. I started a little roofing company. So if I go back a little bit, being raised on the dairy farm, I got a job in construction really to get away from milking cows and doing other things because I didn't want to milk cows forever. So I got a job roofing for about a year, and then
How old would you have been?
I would have been 16 when I got the job off the farm.
Yeah.
And I started a little construction company when I was 17, still in high school.
That's awesome. So you've always had a bit of a bug for entrepreneurial, making your own money, being your own boss kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yep. What were you doing? What was this construction company doing?
Roofing houses. So I got a job roofing, and
he kind of showed you the trade?
Yep. Yeah, I worked for a local guy there, that kind of a family friend.
Yep.
And then kind of went out on my own.
Valley Equine Reproduction is a premier equine breeding facility located in Stephenville, Texas. I've worked with the team there multiple times and had nothing but great experiences. Formerly known as the Brazos Valley Stallion Station, they offer everything. They manage over 45 stallions, including some of the most renowned in the industry. They offer mare care and breeding services, foaling out services, a recent mare program, sales fitting, and rehabilitation services. Plus, their Super Stallion Center program has awarded substantial payouts. In 2024, the program paid out $1.4 million across the NCHA and NRCHA. If you're in the breeding business, you have to check out Valley Equine Reproduction. Visit them online at valleyequinerepro.com or give them a call at 254-485-8280.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Miola. My wife Michelle and I own and run the fabulous Silver Spurs Equine Breeding Centers located in Purcell, Oklahoma, and Scottsdale, Arizona. We specialize in making your equine dreams come true by breeding the finest American quarter horses in the world. Finding that special horse, the one that speaks to your soul, is what Silver Spurs is all about. When you come to our ranch in Purcell, Oklahoma, you will meet that fabulous weanling that, once trained, utilizing Clinton Anderson's tried and proven methods, will become an extension of your body, knowing intuitively what you want to do and give you endless hours of adventure and love. Our stallions are the elite. They represent the finest bloodlines in their sport and have won every championship title during their competitive careers. Our breeding program is partially skill, partially science, partially art, definitely a gift from God, but mostly love. So if you share our passion and possess the drive and desire to compete in the show pen or tour the great American landscape with a loyal companion, creating adventures you will treasure for a lifetime, Silver Spurs has the horse you've been dreaming of.
This episode is brought to you in part by DT Horses, the elite Western performance breeder for cutting, cow horse, and rope horse futurity prospects. What caused you to want to go out on your own at that younger age? Did you see a niche for it? You saw a lot more money there. Tell me where your head's at.
Yeah. So, the story, I was roofing a house by myself. That he had sent me to a job, and a guy came over. They were paying me $12 an hour back then, which, of course, this was in the early '80s, so it was
probably not bad money.
It was pretty good money for a young kid then.
Yeah.
And a guy came over and said, "Hey, you want to come work for me?" And I said, "Well, I've got a job." And if you know anything about construction, I was putting on roofs, and you measure it by the square feet, and I was putting on about 2 square an hour back then. And
is that a lot or little? I don't.
It's a lot, but the point is, so I was getting paid $12 an hour, and he came and said, "Well, I'll pay you by the square, by how much you can get done," and offered me about $10 a square, and so that's about $20 an hour. And so that's what got me thinking is,
you did the math in your head.
I did the math, and I thought, well, if he's offering me that, then there's money here. And so then that's kind of how it started.
So how did you find a supplier, and how did you find customers and all that?
Just going around talking to people and basically knocking on doors.
Huh, interesting. You
Yeah.
did that when you were 17.
Yeah.
And you were still in high school.
Still in high school.
Were you a good student? Did you suck? Did you like? I hated school.
Yeah, it was a
Fucking
good thing
hated
my
it.
coaches were teachers, or I probably wouldn't have graduated.
What were the sports you were involved in?
Football mostly.
Football. That was
Yeah.
what your passion
Yeah,
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even that, I broke my leg my junior year, and so I didn't even play my senior year. But I had my business going, and so
So as soon as you got done with school, you were working.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went on a mission for my church. So
truly?
at night, actually I left when I was 20. So I roofed for a couple of years.
So from 17 to 20, you're roofing. Are you
was
just doing
roofing.
it by yourself? You got a couple of
I
employees?
I actually had a partner
Yeah.
back then that we went to high school together,
Yep.
really good friends. And then I left on a mission. I went to Mexico City on a mission for our church
Yep.
for 2 years. And so then I left that business, and then when I came home from my mission, I ended up in Utah to not be competing with the people that
your buddy.
my buddy there. And
What did you like or dislike about the mission thing in Mexico? At that age to go to a
Yeah.
foreign country like that, there must have been an eye opener. What did you like or
It
dislike?
was, yeah, it was really an eye opener. I loved most of it. It was difficult. I would say it was really hard. I didn't know a word of Spanish
Yeah.
when I left. Being away from home wasn't as hard for me. I'm pretty independent, so that wasn't really that hard. But I would say getting used to the food, being away from everybody that I knew,
Family.
and then the language was hard, and then the structural rules in the mission. It's very structured, and there's.
Give me some examples.
Well, you get up at a certain time every day. You don't date. Which was a hard one for me a little
fuck
bit.
yeah.
But it's full time. You're dedicated to teaching people about Jesus Christ and those religious type lessons. And so I did that full time for 2 years.
Huh. Interesting. Well, good for you. So you come back from that, and what'd you do? Where'd you go?
So I moved down to Utah. So, and that all kind of is tied to my mission. So, as missionaries, there's a group of us. There was
So
about
you
200
Mormon? Are you Mormon
Yes.
from Utah?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the religion.
Yeah.
Mormon is
Yeah.
Utah.
The church is called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but a lot of people refer to us as Mormons because of the Book of Mormon. But
Okay, righto.
Yeah, but Mormon is fine. So there were about 200 missionaries, and when you go to these missions, there's usually a couple that are in charge. So a president, so a man that kind of runs everything. And we became, he was my mission president. He lived in Utah. So when I came home from my mission, and not wanting to be in Idaho competing with the other guys, I ended up in Utah as the construction business was good there. And my mission president was in the construction business in Utah, so I ended up in Utah.
Okay, and working for yourself or working for him?
Working for myself, but he was a contractor, so I did some of his work. So I was independently working. I started another business.
Still in the roofs, or you got into other areas?
I was doing roofing at that time, but then I started to do a few other things, some concrete, landscaping. We built a few homes, did some land deals. So it gradually evolved into other things.
Okay, and who taught you the other skills that you needed? Or you just learned it on
Just
the job?
kind of, yeah, it was trial and error. Some things worked and some things didn't.
That's a lot of life, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you're single at this point. You started your own business. Is business going well? You starving to death? What's going on?
I was really lucky. It always worked really well. The construction business back in those days was.
So
really good.
what years would this have been, mate?
So I got home from Mexico in 92. Tiffany and I got married in 93, my wife.
Yep.
And she was from Utah. And so that would have been in 92 to 93 is when I moved to Utah.
So construction's good. You're making money. Life's good. You get married.
And right as soon as we got married, I started buying horses. So Tiffany and I went
So
down.
you hated money then.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Self-sabotage.
ironic.
Your life
Yeah.
has gone real fucking well, and now you just want to
Yeah.
self-sabotage it and
Yeah.
blow it
Looking back, I'm not sure it was smart. But so we had been married just a few months, and we went down to the Shawnee sale in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And started buying some horses. And
So let me ask you, you've been out of horses now for several years, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so what made you get the horse bug again? Did your wife have the horse bug? You got it back again? Where did this bug come back?
I always had it. And when I would go home, my dad always had the horses, and I would help him. And my brother and I were really close, and we loved the horses together. We'd ride together and that kind of stuff.
So the passion never left you?
It never left.
Even though you got away out
life
of it
just
for a
got
while.
busy.
Yeah, life got busy. That's exactly right.
And then when I was able to afford to get back into the horse business, I did.
Okay, so you want to get back into the horse business. You go down to Shawnee's sale. How old would you have been? 23, 24 by now?
Yeah, probably 23.
23?
Yeah, 23.
So what kind of horse you want to buy? What do you wanting to do a discipline? You just want to buy a trail riding horse? What the hell are you doing?
I kind of went back to what my dad did, had some horses to show in Halter. He had done both pleasure and Halter, but probably did more at the Halter at the end as I was getting a little older. So, and I love conformation. I'm that's always been a passion of mine, is conformation on a horse. And so we got back into the show thing. So when we started buying, they were Halter horses.
Okay, Halter horses.
Halter
okay.
horses.
So did you buy some horses down there? How'd it go?
Yeah. We met Jim and Georgia Snow at the Shawnee sale, who later became friends and kind of a mentor of mine early on.
Is he a horse trainer?
No, they were breeders. They raised a lot of horses and had studs. I met him, and we bought several horses from him and became friends with them, and we started showing pretty soon
In
after
Halter, in the Halter class.
Yeah, in the Halter classes.
So you take these horses back to Utah. You're still doing the construction,
Right.
And you and your wife both enjoyed the horses. Was she into it as much as you?
She put up with them. She likes the horses, but it wasn't her passion. But she was real supportive.
Okay, very good. So you start showing. You're enjoying it. You're doing it all yourself, or you're hiring a trainer to help you do all this?
It didn't take us very long to want to get real competitive, and so then we would send them off to trainers, and we started going to the World Show early on. In fact, I think maybe even in '93, the first. I want to say we probably went in '93. So the World Show was something every year that was a really big deal to us. And then the first time that we actually had a horse that won the World Show was in, I think it was '98. So it took us quite a while to get.
Well, didn't you say '93 to '98?
Yeah.
So 7 or 8 years, not that bad,
Yeah.
really, to get a world. Went from never owning, not having your own horses to having a world champion in 7, 8 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah, we had a lot of success. I mean, we learned the hard way. And
Tell us some of the hard lessons you learned, because there's a lot of people listening to this that would have either getting into horses like you, brand new, not knowing much about it. Tell us about some of the fucking lessons you learned. Tell us about some of the fuck ups. Tell us, you talk about the successes, and we're going to talk about that. But I think a lot of people want to hear about things that didn't work too, so that about what people can avoid. Tell us some of the things that happened.
Biggest lesson I probably learned is that you can go through a lot of money in the horse business and get very little for your money if you're not really careful.
Yes.
Especially if you're new and you don't know a lot and you're a target and you can. Unfortunately.
Yes, it is unfortunate.
It's really unfortunate because people are maybe short-sighted a lot of times and don't realize that if you treat people a little bit better, you can have a relationship that are mutually beneficial for a long time.
Yes, I agree. My theory has always been go to first base, make a little money. Go to second base, make a little money. Go to third base, make a little money. Get home, make a little money.
Yeah.
And if you treat people right and do good business, they'll play on that baseball field for many, many years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of people in the horse industry, they want to get a home run off that new customer.
Yeah.
And you might get around a home run off them, knock the ball out of the park once, maybe twice. But even green people will eventually figure out they're being taken advantage of. And once they figure that out, they'll never do business with you again. It's very short-sighted, yes.
I agree. I think one thing that people overlook is that people might be green in the horse business, but if they have enough money to buy horses, they're probably fairly successful somewhere.
Yes.
And they didn't get their money because
They're not
they were
stupid,
dumb.
yes.
Yeah. And
yes.
so they'll figure it out.
Yes,
and,
they have always eventually figured it out.
Yeah. And then it's a bad deal.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Every trainer's looking for an edge on their competition. Whether it's a better horse, better way to train it. But really, in reality, all the trainers have got access to great horses. All the trainers are doing a lot of the same techniques. To me, the next greatest edge on competition, whether you're reining, cutting, cow horse, eventing, or racing, is keeping your horses sound and ready for competition. For the last 4 years, I've been sparring my horses by Cold Creek Equine Spa, and I spar them for 20 minutes every day after I ride them at 36 degrees. It ices down all 4 legs. What a game changer. My vet bills have been cut back by 50%. My horse's soundness has been gone through the roof, okay? People think that spas are expensive. It'll pay for itself just on saving on vet bills in the first 18 months. Spas have been around for a long time, but for years they've been junk. They are broken more than they actually work. You needed to be like a plumbing engineer to make the some bitches work. Cold Creek Equine are using the latest technology, industrial strength machines that are basically maintenance free. Anybody can operate this thing. Even me as a horse trainer, I can operate it. And more than anything, it stays working. Go to their website, check them out. It's a game changer. In the next 10 years, if you're a professional horse trainer, if you don't have a spa, you will be left behind on your equine soundness.
DT Horses was founded with one goal in mind: produce elite performance horses. For over 20 years, we've consistently met that goal and raised the bar, thanks to our dedication and focus on what matters most. DT Horses believes that every horse we raise deserves the best start possible. With a great foundation in place, all our colts go on to excel in the discipline best suited for them. We have many top performers in team roping, cow horse, cutting, calf roping, and barrel racing. We're offering our elite horses to the public. For information about the athletes available, please contact the DT Horses office at 480-471-4348. Learn more about DT Horses and the impact we've made on the Western performance horse world at dthorses.com.
This episode is brought to you in part by Breaking Bad, the hottest new NCHA Futurity sire. So you bought some of the wrong horses, I'm gathering.
Sure.
You know, and even when you try good, even when there's good business going on, not every damn horse is going to work, is it?
For sure.
You know what I mean? What do you think drew you to the Halter horses out of all the different events you could have done? You know, reining, cutting, cow horse, barrel racing, you know, pleasure. What do you think it was about Halter that really tripped your trigger?
I'd probably go back to conformation. So in the dairy business, you could look at a cow, and my dad did livestock judging when he was in high school, and I can remember lessons that he taught me young, looking at dairy cows, where you could tell how much a cow would produce by the conformation of the cow.
You're shitting me. Was that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazingly accurate.
Damn.
And so that was always really intriguing to me. And so I think that's really what drove me to the Halter horses, just because it was, you're judging by their conformation, should be form to function. You could argue that we got a little off track on that.
Yes, yes.
Like maybe really off track
Yep.
in that. And that's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of the Halter horse thing anymore, is because I think we got lost a little bit. But that's what drove me to the Halter horses.
Okay. So you have a world champion Halter horse. What age group?
He would have been a 2-year-old stallion.
What name was
that horse's name was Acceleration. He was the first one that we won a world championship, and he was a.
Did you raise him or buy him?
So we bought him as a baby. They just weaned him. I bought him from a man named Jim Dunn, who is.
I remember Jim Dunn. I
Yeah.
bought horses from him. He had Halter horses and reiners, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
really
good
good
guy.
guy.
I bought horses from Jim in the early days. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jim raised.
He was from Iowa too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was from
yeah.
Iowa. He had a ranch in Texas.
In Gainesville.
That's right.
Yeah, he had a ranch in Gainesville. Craig Johnson used to do a lot of work for him. I think it was Craig. I can't remember.
Yeah, and
now.
Ross Rourke was there at the time.
Yeah, I remember that. I bought several horses from Jim over the years. Yeah, he was a fanatic. He
Really
loved
good
it.
guy.
Yeah, loved it. So once you win that world championship Halter class, what are you thinking? You got the world by the balls. You're enjoying it. You got the bug. You were willing to spend some more money. Where's your head at?
Probably about right there. You know?
You're about to blow your head off.
Well, because the construction business was going good, we had the ability to buy more. And so I continuously bought brood mares, and the breeding thing is what was really intriguing to me. I wanted to raise them and try to raise better horses. And so that horse was a stallion. And so we stood him at stud, and I tried to buy a group of mares to put around him. And from then on, the showing, even though we did it, what really was intriguing to me was the breeding.
Okay.
And so we bought a ranch in Spanish Fork, Utah, out by the Utah Lake and built a breeding facility. And that's what we've done ever since then. The breeding is what's really intriguing to me.
So in that era of Halter horses, I know Halter horses, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm gathering, at one point, the early 70s and even 80s, they were very popular.
Yeah,
it was through the roof, just like the pleasure horse industry.
Yeah.
And then it kind of peaked and then went through a pretty steady decline.
Correct.
In the pleasure industry too.
Did.
And so when you were doing the Halter horses, was it on the decline at that point, or it already dipped, or was it at its peak? Where was that at?
When I came in, it was just probably the last few years of it peaking. So
Okay.
not great timing. You
get in when the price is high.
kind of like what I've done in the markets too. But it was really good then. It was really good. It was back when you could sell your bottom end horses to pay your bills and keep your best ones.
Yeah.
And then
in those days, what was, let's just take a yearling Halter horse. What was an average yearling Halter horse selling for? What was a cheap one? What was an expensive one selling for? What was some money back in those days?
I would say the very cheap ones would have been, $5,000 for the ones that didn't work.
Yep.
And the average would have been $25,000. Of course, $25,000 20 years ago.
It was a lot of money.
It was a lot more money. So Accelebration, we bought him. This is kind of a confession. He was a weanling colt. We gave $250,000 for him as a weanling. So
would that have been exceptional?
that was high.
Was he just something really
Well,
special?
so he
was he
was-
bred to be
yeah.
special? What was so special?
He
about
was a full brother to a horse named Kid Clue, who was one of the iconic stallions in the Halter horse business.
full brother to it?
He was a full brother to him, and I probably overpaid for him.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly
Yeah,
overpaid for him.
but you got a world championship
Yeah.
out. Did the horse go on to continue to do well?
We retired him after that and just used him as a stallion. He was an inconsistent breeder. He had some good ones, but he didn't breed near as well as his brother did.
His brother bred quite a bit more.
Yeah.
So you bought a bunch of brood mares. You moved ranch. You're still doing the construction, correct? So is the ranch a long way from where you have to do construction?
So my office was about an hour away from the ranch at that time.
So is the construction business growing pretty good? How many employees you got by this point? Like, are you growing a lot?
We were doing about 200 roofs a month.
A lot.
So we had maybe 75 to 100 employees.
Okay, so it grew pretty good.
Yeah,
But roofing was primarily your business that you stayed in.
Yeah, it was. Up until about 2008, when the when the market crashed and a lot of the contractors went belly up on us. And so I did the construction all the way through 2008.
Okay. So when you start breeding this stud, within 2 or 3 years, you realize the progeny is maybe not quite as good as you wanted it to be. Does this put a damper on it? Do you buy another stud? Where's your head at this point?
Well, it gets worse, actually. So
please tell us.
You're probably familiar with Hank Wieskamp horses. So you remember the dispersal sale when he had his dispersal sale? So we bought the highest selling stallion that went through that sale. His name was Skipper Zane. Beautiful horse. And the idea was to use kind of an outcross on these hot-blooded Halter horses and use that bloodline. And so we bought him and got him home. Of course, it was a dispersal sale because Hank had died, and there were no guarantees. You couldn't pre-check. You couldn't do
no vet checks.
Nothing.
Checking semen, none of that.
Nothing. And we gave a lot of money for him, brought him home, and he was literally sterile. I mean, we did. It was a mess. We ended up getting 2 colts by him in all those years.
How old was that horse when you bought him?
He was probably 9 or 10.
And they hadn't brought
Oh, they had a lot of registered colts to him.
They did?
But, back then it was before the who knows?
They were all live covered? Were they live covered?
He live covered them. But, there's no telling.
So what was eventually wrong with him? Did you figure out what was wrong with him?
So we had all the vets come and we did all the, we tried all the GnRH pumps and we did everything that we could. But his semen was just poor.
It was just poor.
It just really had poor semen.
Okay.
So.
Well, you don't feel bad. It's happened to me too. You know what I mean? You buy one you think's going to work out and they fucking don't.
Yeah.
So you got a bit of a black eye there. So you've had 2 studs now that haven't really worked out.
Right.
Where's your enthusiasm right now? Is it still high? Is it low?
Well,
Are
I'm
you
a
getting an
slow
ass whipping?
learner, so I never lost. I never got discouraged. I would say, and just felt like, well, I'm learning, and And I did
Yeah.
with time, you know.
Yeah, you got to get a few black
Yeah.
eyes to figure out how the
Yeah.
playground works, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of good outside horses. We bred some of our mares to other people's stallions, and there were a lot of great studs back in those days. And that's one of the things that led us to do some of the stuff that we're here to talk about, the pink buckle and the
Yeah.
breeder's Halter Futurity. But that's the breeding was still, I hadn't lost the bug, and I still enjoyed it. And I love the babies, seeing the babies. And,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so.
So, who were the Halter horse trainers that helped you or showed your horses?
Yeah, so Ross Rourke showed Celebration when we first bought him. Chip Nost showed for us, Ross. We had a few horses with Jason Smith. Ted Turner showed a couple for us back in the day.
Yep.
So we've used some of the better trainers.
Yep.
Became really good friends with all of them. They're all great
Yep.
guys.
Yep, that's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
You never got a bug for any other discipline in those years? It still stayed focused on the halters?
The racing was always kind of intriguing to me, so I watched that, but it was especially the thoroughbred thing. But it felt like it was just out of reach.
Yeah,
You
pretty
just-
expensive.
It's so expensive, and we ended up the only thing that we really did with the thoroughbred thing is I bought some Stallion shares, and messed with it just a little bit with Stallion shares.
That's a whole nother industry to lose money in.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
think we piss away money in the quarter horse industry.
For
That's just
sure.
rookie numbers
Yeah,
compared
no
to that.
kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed them.
Yeah, good deal. So when 2008 came, the economic crash happened. What did that do to your construction business? Did it hurt you pretty good, or what happened?
Yeah, it did. It was pretty bad. But in the meantime, we had started. I branch out and do other things. So I had done some real estate deals and done pretty good on that. But we started a biotech company, which is a whole nother story. We had some people had come to me and Lance Robinson, who ended up being my partner in the Pink Buckle. We founded it together.
Okay.
And we became friends. He bought my ranch from me there in Spanish Fork, and then we built another, and we became really good friends. Some people came to us together and said, hey, we have a product that we want you to endorse. We want to get into the animal industry to sell our product. And neither Lance and I were willing to put our name behind it until we tried it. So we tried it, and it was...
And what kind of product was it?
So it was an antimicrobial peptide mimic is the term, but it was basically they were selling it as like a stall disinfectant and something to knock down the bacteria, both in wounds and then like in stalls and stuff to
Disinfecting?
Help. Disinfecting. It ends up being a lot more than that, but that's what they sold it to us as.
Okay.
And at the time, I was having a lot of trouble with early full diarrhea, scours, like day 1 and 2, and you know how that's so dangerous. They're so fragile, and we lost quite a few foals. I said, well, that's perfect. If you're telling me it does that, we can try it. And immediately we had really good success. And so the people that brought it to us were a little, it wouldn't have worked to work together with them.
Yeah.
So Lance and I actually bought them out.
Okay.
And so
What's the name of that company?
So at that time we named it that was BioCare Animal Products. We formed a company and called it BioCare Animal Products. And we bought that. To make a long story short, that went really well, and we sold half of that business to Central Garden and Pet, who owns Farnham, and they're a large company out of California. We sold 50% of that business for quite a bit of money, and we took that money and bought the human rights to that same technology. And now we're still running that company. It's called CSA Biotechnologies, and we're doing human studies for different wound care products and cystic fibrosis even. And so we're doing some really neat things in that. So I ended up branching out and doing
So did you get out of the construction business completely in 2008?
I got out.
Were you burnt out, or just the recession kind of just forced you to go a different direction?
I would say both. I'd done it. I had roofed for 30 years. It was long enough, and it's a tough business, the construction business. It was really good to me and my family, but it's kind of a cutthroat business, and I was sick of being on the roofs and I think it's hard for anybody, Chad, to stay enthusiastic when you've been doing the same job for 25 years plus.
I don't care if you're a cop, you're a firefighter, horse trainer, or whatever the fuck
whatever
you
it
do.
is.
It's hard to wake up with the same amount of enthusiasm and desire to go kick ass when you've mastered that job, or you know everything in and out of that job. You know, I had a buddy of mine that was 35 years in the police force, and I said, how did you end up staying so long and loving what you do? Because he loved his job, and he said the secret was every 7 years I moved. And I said,
Really?
what do you mean you moved? He said, well, I moved to a different division. So I might do 7 years in undercover, and then 7 years in drug control, you know what I mean? And 7 years in this. He said, every 7 years I made myself go to a different department within the police force and learn a new skill set, learn something new. And he said, that was my secret. I thought that made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does.
And he spent 35 years and he loved it. He wasn't burnt out because he didn't. I think especially for men, especially men that are driven, once we master something or get really good at it, it turns into being monotonous real quick.
Yeah, that's
true. If you don't keep it fresh.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's one of the things I think I enjoy about breeding, because every year it's a new group of babies, and don't you think the horse business is a little bit different in that you can do it until you die?
What I think is, it's just like everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody, at least for myself, but a lot of trainers, I think people love the horses and we fucking hate the people. If I'm just being blunt.
Yeah.
People wear you the fuck out. I used to have this sticker on my fridge that said, I used to be a people person, but people fucked that up for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I love
understand.
the horses.
Yeah.
I don't like the people part of it.
Yeah.
You know, but I've been doing what I do now for, almost 30 years. I left high school at 15 and I'll be 50 this year.
Okay.
So I've been almost doing it 35 years now. So you get burnt out on people.
Yeah,
And
I
I
get that.
talk to a lot of trainers and so forth, and it's the people that always give you the trouble.
Yeah.
It's not the horses. Typically, I love staying in the arena. I could be in an arena all day and ride my horses all day and never talk to a soul and have the best day of my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the horses, I don't think a lot of people lose the passion for and the love. It's the people and dealing with customers and employees and all the other bullshit that makes you want to blow your fucking brains out.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I tell apprentices all the time, I don't think they listen to me, but I tell them all the time, I said, you're in a time of your life that's very special. All you have to do is get up every day and learn. You don't have to worry about bills. I pay you enough to survive. You're not going to get rich, but I pay you enough to survive, put a roof over your head, food on the table. But you don't have a mortgage, you don't have a husband or wife, you don't have a kid. All you have to do every day is wake up and build your trade. Wake up and build your skill set.
Yeah.
I said there'll be a time when you leave here where you wish you could just go to the barn and ride horses all day.
For sure.
But you'll be on the phone, you'll be talking to customers, you'll be dealing with the hay, you'll be dealing with the farrier, you'll be dealing with the other employees, you'll be dealing with you'll just become a fuck-up expert. All you're doing is fixing up fuck-ups.
Yep.
And they look at me like I got two heads, but, eventually they'll figure it out. So to be honest with you, I think what burns people out in the horse industry is not necessarily the horses, it's the public. And I don't think that's just horses. I talk to policemen, I talk to firefighters, I talk to nurses. I talk to a lot of different people that are in the people business. That's, I always say horses don't write checks, people do.
Yeah.
So you're in the people business. I was a clinician, but I really didn't make any money out of horses. I made money off people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where I think it comes from. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. The barrel horse business is really unique in that.
Yeah, because you're dealing with crazy bitches. You can't say it, but I can.
Yeah, it's really been. So the halter horse people are completely different than the barrel horse people.
No shit,
Special
Sherlock.
in their own way,
Yeah.
both of them. But the barrel horse thing, and in that we deal with literally thousands of them, and they're unique in their own special way.
Unique.
And really
you
difficult.
politically correct
Yeah.
motherfucker. They're so unique. They're a bunch of hot, crazy
Yeah.
bitches.
That-
Let's
that-
just
for
call
sure.
it what it is.
Yeah.
Barrel races are hot, crazy bitches. Okay.
It can be very challenging. And when we first started, because we were so different,
Well,
it was tough.
I bet it was. Let's back up a little.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the hot, crazy bitches in a second.
Hi, my name is Melanie Smith with Solo Select Horses. We have been a part of the ICSI process for several years with GeneTech with exceptional results, and we continue to work with them every day to improve the technology and improve the results for our customers. GeneTech has really transformed the industry and allowed us to transform our business. I feel like they want to take the research that they get within the lab, the information we give to them, and really once again, maximize the results that we can get for all of our customers. Because if our customers win, we win and GeneTech wins. For more information on advanced equine reproductive services, please visit genetechvet.com.
Breaking Bad is a 2020 stallion by Stevie Ray Vaughan, out of the all-time leading broodmare Sweet Abra. He is dual-registered AQHA and APHA and is 6-panel NN. At just 5 years old, he has already earned over $200,000 and is still showing. He is nominated to the major NCHA and NRCHA stallion programs and is part of the new Legacy Bonus, which has an estimated payout of $1 million to be paid at the NCHA Futurity. For more information or to request your breeding contract, contact Beau Gallion Stallion Services or Fultz Ranch at 806-672-6039.
This episode is brought to you in part by Valley Equine, managing stallions that represent the performance horse industry's finest. You get out of construction, you do this bio deal. You having any kids in this time frame?
Yeah, so Tiffany and I had 5 kids.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
you religious motherfucker.
Yeah.
You got 5 of them. You're trying to keep up with the Muslims, aren't you? Hey?
For sure. Yeah.
Fuck the Catholics. We're going straight past them.
Yeah, so we have 3 girls and 2 boys. Our oldest is a boy. Then we had a couple girls and then a boy. And then I thought we were done at 4, but my wife snuck one in at the end, and we had a girl at the end. About 4 years, and she's just wonderful. So we have 5 kids.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
I'm just
thank
giving
you.
you shit.
Oh, I know.
I don't
Yeah.
have any kids.
I can take it.
I don't have any kids, but good luck to you. That's awesome. So at this point, you're out of construction. You're into the bio deal. Are you enjoying that whole process? Are you still breeding Halter horses? What are you doing here?
Yeah, in fact, I would say the horse thing never slowed down. In fact, we've grown gradually and never. I keep telling myself we're going to back up. So when we sold the ranch in Spanish Fork to Lance and Marla Robinson, when we met them, the idea we had about 110 acres there, and we probably had about 100 head of horses at the time. It was a lot. And so when we sold that, the idea was to cut back. So we bought 15 acres, told myself, we're going to cut back, build like a 16 stall barn, and all I ended up with was way too many horses on not near enough ground.
You're like a drug addict. You're
Yeah.
like every horse person.
Yeah.
You're a drug addict in denial.
It was. So then we had to buy another place up the canyon, had horses up the canyon. So anyway, and today, we probably have 150, 200 head of horses.
So did you try to stop breeding your own, having your own stallions? You bred the outside stallions. When those 2 studs didn't work for you, did you say, fuck it, I'm just going to breed to what's popular? Or where did you start breeding?
I didn't learn that quickly.
Okay, so you kept going back.
I kept going. So I always had a stud, and some of them worked and some of them didn't.
Tell me why you didn't just, this is a genuine question.
Yeah.
Tell me why you just didn't go breed to what was popular. There would have been obviously a half a dozen horses that were doing well.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just go rent the best semen from the best studs? Any reason?
Pride.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it myself and wanted to have the good stud. In fact, I think that is one of the things in the horse business that I've learned a lot of lessons in the horse business. And one of the things that I've learned is that most of us do it. Pride is way up there on the reasons why we do it.
Yeah.
Why we raise them, why we do what we do.
Looking back on it, do you wish you would have just rented the best stallions in the business, kept your mares, and just farmed, leased that, rented that semen out?
Absolutely. It would have made a lot more sense. You could have sold the babies for more money. It would have made a lot more sense. But,
Hey, we all do silly things. That's part of learning. That's for damn sure. So how do you go then from Halter horses then? I'm trying to bridge it.
Yeah.
Do you go from the Halter horse breeding and enthusiastic about breeding Halter horses and showing them? How do you now move into the barrow industry?
Yeah.
Where does this connection come in here?
Right. So I think an important part of the story.
Or is there a middle part there that I'm missing?
Well, no, you're not really missing something, but the transition was because we formed a company in the.
Who's we?
So so let me back up.
Okay.
So the Halter horse business
was kind of crashing.
Was kind of crashing.
And you saw that. You saw the writing on the wall.
I saw the writing on the wall. There were a couple things. So
why do you think it crashed? I do want to ask you that. Why? I have my own opinion on it.
Well, I'd love to hear yours, but I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I want to hear yours first.
So,
Tell me why you think it went from all-time popular in the 80s and even the early 90s, and it crashed. Tell me why.
We went way too extreme in the horses. So the muscle was important. Way too important, how much muscle they had, and didn't pay near enough attention to form to function, to bone, to structure, to soundness. And then in the quarter horse industry, I think we had a bad reputation as halter horses from the other disciplines.
In what way? Bad reputation in what way?
Well, the horses couldn't walk, or hey, they're a bunch of crippled horses, and
you couldn't ride them.
You couldn't ride them. And then, honestly, one of the struggles that I've always had in the halter horse business is after you're done with them, what do you do with them? Mm-hmm. Now, I will say there's some great horses. I still love the halter horses. I still have some, and I'll always have an affinity for halter horses. I love a beautiful horse. I love them, but so back to, we ended up here. There were two things that I was trying to do. I was trying to get our program, mine and my wife's program, to be profitable.
Horse program,
and then I could see that the halter horse business as a whole was declining, and so. Just brainstorming, what can we do? I go back to, I've started a lot of businesses, and so I was trying to figure out what can I do that will help my program, and what can I do that would help the halter horse industry as a whole. And coming back from the World Show, and I want to say that would have been like 2010 probably. My wife and I, it was an 18-hour drive, and we talked, and I ran some ideas past her. But we came up with an idea to start a futurity in the halter horse world that would be a closed futurity, and pay out a lot of money. Because here's the two things.
What do you mean by closed futurity?
So limit the number of stallions. So most of the futurities that have always been, at least in the halter horse business, they would sign up as many stallions as you wanted, and you'd pay a fee, $500 or whatever, and then that's where the purse would come from. First of all, I didn't pay enough money to be worth it.
Yeah.
And that was so the first thing that I noticed is that the disciplines that were doing well, they competed for money, real money. The reiners.
Not just a ribbon.
Yeah, it wasn't just a ribbon or points. And I realized that we needed something in the halter horse industry that paid real money.
Because up to that point, it's really just bragging rights, wasn't it?
Yeah, which, that's
That'll
only
take you
worth
so
much.
far.
That'll only take you so far. And so we came up with the idea to get 10 stallions together, each of us pitch in $25,000 and show for $250,000, which was unprecedented then.
Okay, what year would this have been?
This would have been in 2010 to 2011.
Okay.
I might be missing
So
that
10
by year.
studs, $25,000 apiece, and only those studs' progeny can compete in this futurity. Now, this futurity is for what ages? Yearlings, 2-year-olds?
We started it for babies, and then
Weanlings.
Weanlings and yearlings. And we called it the Breeders' Halter Futurity.
And the weanlings and yearlings would compete against each other, or two separate classes?
So it would be weanling. The weanling studs would be in one class, and then it'd be a gilding class and a filly. So there were 3 weanling classes. And my memory's not great.
That's okay.
I think we had yearling classes the first year too. It may have been the next year that we did the yearling classes. And so when I pitched that to some of my friends, it was a hard pitch, because $25,000 to put your stud into something that no one had ever done before.
Yep.
It was a little bit of a tough pitch.
Sell.
But we were able to do it, and it took off like wildfire.
So it's $25,000 per year, or just one-time fee?
Every year.
Oh, every year?
And every year. And they committed for 4 years, so it was a $100,000 commitment.
Okay. I could see how that'd be a little bit of a hard sell in the beginning. Yeah. Okay. So $25,000 a year. So you got $250,000 to give away each year.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did the first one go off well?
Yeah,
was there a lot of support for it? How many horses?
It was really well.
How many foals? Did the foals have to do a nomination once they were born?
Yeah. So it was a $200 nomination for the foals, and they would have to nominate every year, which is the same program that we do in the Pink Buckle. But it was really good. It was really well attended. Where
did you do this futurity at?
In Des Moines, Iowa, and we still do it there to this day.
Why Iowa? Why is Iowa such a hotbed for especially the old school halter horses and that area. You know, Doug Carpenter told me about back in the day that a lot of the pleasure horses were bred up there and halter horses, and they had big breeding farms up there. Why Iowa of all places?
Yeah, I think the Midwest just is always, a lot of farming up there, and there's a correlation to horse, to the equine industry and farmers.
So you had your own Futurity, own show. It's not sanctioned with anything else. You put your own shit on.
We put it on together with the Iowa Futurity because we weren't big enough to be able to force. So we did it the first year. We joined up with the Iowa Quarter Horse Futurity, and they let us come in there and do it.
Okay.
And then from then on, we ended up, it was a standalone, and it grew really fast. Within a couple years, the trainer. So it was amateur only. So we did it for the amateurs, and the idea.
Why'd you do that?
Well, because the amateurs are the ones with the money.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Yeah, most
So,
horse trainers are broke. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, that's why they're the ones breeding the mares. They're the ones that are supporting. The idea was, and here's the main thing that I learned in that, or that I realized. The stallion business is a tough business. Horse business is tough anyway. The stallion business is maybe the hardest part in the
and I agree with you. Now, what I think is funny is how many people think that stallion owners make a fortune. They don't make any money for at least 7 or 8 years. Every bit of dollars they make for the first 7 or 8 years, if they're smart, they're reinvesting back in that stud, advertising, futurities, prize money, whatever it is. So, and then when they finally do get successful, the damn thing's 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
And so it's nowhere near the money. I always sold my studs early. Any great studs I had, I always sold them and kept 5 or 10 breedings a year.
Yeah.
Because I knew how expensive it was to promote those studs.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't always work, too.
Yes, you're damn right it does.
In fact, it very seldom does.
Yes.
I mean, the percentages aren't real high. But the idea behind the Breeders' Halter Futurity was to give a marketing advantage to the participating stallions.
The 10 stallions.
To the 10 So when you figure there were hundreds of halter horse stallions at that time, hundreds of them, but there were only 10 whose progeny were eligible for the richest purse in the halter horse history.
So did it make those progeny worth more money?
A lot more. Yeah, it was really.
Did
good.
you see it straight away?
Yeah, I would say within the first couple years, and then we grew and we did an open, and we brought in more stallions as part of the open.
What do you mean open?
So it wasn't just for amateurs; it was for the trainers.
Okay.
So
that was a separate division that you
it was
had
a separate
that
division.
you had separate stallions for.
Same event. So the amateur stallions were participating in the open and amateur, but the open stallions were only their foals could only be shown in the open classes
By an open trainer.
Yeah. Now the amateurs could show in the open, but a trainer or a professional couldn't show in the amateur. I mean, basically the same way it is.
So let me ask you, where did you get the number of 10 studs from? Why not 15? Why not 20? Why not 50? Where did you get 10
Well, because I thought I could only talk 10 people into doing it.
Fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
And $250,000 was a lot of money at the time.
Yes, especially every year too.
Yeah.
So it went off well then. How many years did you do?
In fact, within, I think the third...
What years would this have been?
2011, I believe, was our first one. And I think in 2013, it went so well that we did an auction along with it. We decided to auction off an additional slot into the amateur because nobody could get in. And so in our sale, we auctioned off a slot, and that slot brought $600,000.
What do you mean a slot? What do you mean by slot?
So there were 10 slot
Studs.
holders, and we called those slots. So everybody had a slot. So we went from 10 to 11 stallions.
Okay.
And so we sold a slot in that sale, and
it brought
$600,000, and they still had to pay the $25,000 a year.
You're shitting me. It was that popular. Now, could those 10 stud owners, could they ever sell their slots?
Oh, and they did.
They did.
Yeah. In fact, there's only at this point in time, I think there's only 3 of us that are from the original stallions.
How would they go about selling that slot on the open market, or did they have to put it
we had a first right of refusal, so anybody could sell it, but whatever they were offered, they had to. We had, as a group, we had the first right of refusal. So the way we structured the company is we had a 10% ownership. Looking back, I probably would have done it different, and so when we started the Pink Buckle, we did it different. But those 10 stallion owners, original stallion owners, each owned 10% of the company. and it was basically a nonprofit. It was a for-profit, but we put all the money back into.
Yeah.
We never took any money out.
Did most of that? What was the average of those slots selling for when somebody wanted to sell a slot? I know the one bought 600.
Early on they were maybe 150. They got up to about 250, 300,000. On the open market, but like I said, when it was really hot, when we first had all that momentum, it was 600,000.
Okay, so you feel like by this stage the Halter thing's going well. Is the rest, other than your show, is the rest of the Halter industry kind of still tanking? Or is it flatlining, or where are we at with the actual Halter industry? You're doing well. Your event's doing well. What's the industry doing?
I think it was a little bit up and down. I would say it had plateaued. So in the the late 80s, early 90s, it was really good, and then it dropped off. And then I would say it just plateaued and wasn't growing, and it was slowly. If anything, maybe slowly getting a little bit smaller. The WCHA came along, which is another group, and they did an event, and that's a really good event, really good people that run it. And so there's been some success, but as a whole, the Halter horse industry has struggled.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it still comes back to that foundation? What you talked about is that too big of horses, too big of muscles, not enough conformation. Do you still think that's the Achilles heel or not?
I don't think I think that we've gotten over that. The horses are much more sound now. The trainers have done a really good job of kind of weeding through that and demanding from the breeders better horses. So I think we're past that. And some of that was the particular stallions at the time.
Good point.
And the horses are sounder now. But sometimes when you get past a certain point of no return, it's kind of hard to bring it back. Mm-hmm. And then the biggest thing is these other disciplines have taken all
because of prize money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first got over here in 1997, the World Show was a big deal. And I used to love going to the World Show, watching the senior reining, junior reining, senior cow horse, junior cow horse, and the stands are packed and so forth. And it's so sad how now the stands aren't even packed at all. For the finals, nobody gives a shit.
I know, it's
you
crazy.
can let a fucking machine gun go off in the crowd and they're not going to hit anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a shame that it's lost a lot of its luster there. And I started asking a bunch of trainers about why they don't go back to the World Show. I heard several different reasons, but the main one is money.
Yeah.
Is that all these other associations, cow horse reining, cutting, had so much more money in their own futurities and their own world show. It was like, why go to the AQHA World Show when, one, it's a pain in the ass, it's busy, it's traffic, it's hard to get in there, it's a fucking rat race once you get in there, there's no prize money, and now the only reason people used to go is because it had some status to it. Owning a world champion globe was a big deal. Now it's not a big deal. I don't know how that happened, but it's not a big deal anymore. Right. So it's a shame. I wish AQHA would figure out how to get the glory days back again. Yeah. But now I asked the trainers, I said, well, if AQHA started putting up some real money again, would you guys go back to the World Show? And every one of them said, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So to me, the money is what talks.
For sure.
So if AQHA could figure out a way to get money back in the World Show again, like good money, not fucking a little bit of money, but decent money, that thing will grow again.
Yeah, for sure.
Will you agree or disagree?
Well, it's absolutely the truth. And that's why our program had done so well and probably was one of the things that kept the halter horse industry going is because of that. And then these other events came along and they were paying out money too. So I think that's the only reason that the halter horse industry is still doing well is there's some events that pay quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
But so the reason I was explaining the Breeders' Halter Futurity is that's kind of how, having seen the success of the halter horse industry and the Breeders' Halter Futurity, I was really interested in the barrel horses because a lot of my friends in the Spanish Fork area in Utah that we lived were barrel racers. And I love the race horses. I'd fooled around with the racehorse thing, but I was really intrigued by the barrel racing and had some really good friends. And I felt like the model that we've done in the breeders for the halter horses industry would work even better for the barrel horses.
Well, this is a perfect break. We've got a break now to get some new tape and freshen up a cocktail. And when we get back, let's start a new chapter of basically the barrel racing. the barrel horses, what got your mind thinking that way, how'd you get it started, all that. So it's a perfect break now to move into the next chapter, okay? But no, I love how you thought outside the box and you found the people to do it with you, and it built the, basically reality is follow the money.
Yeah.
Where there's money, people will follow.
Yeah.
And you can't blame people for that. Everybody's got to eat. Everybody's trying to feed their families and pay their bills. So I wish AQHA would get the World Show back to its glory days. I don't know if it can ever be back to its glory days again. I remember seeing photos in the 70s and 80s where, ladies are dressed up in fur coats, and it was a big deal. The stands were packed from the front row all the way to the rafters. Yeah. You know what I mean? I want to know if we can ever get back to that, where it was a performance. The World Finals and every event was packed.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if we can ever get back to that again. I don't know if the live feed where people can sit in their own home now and watch the finals on their own TV now is part of the reason why people won't show up or not. But it's sad. I wish it could get back to its glory days again. Right, mate, let's stop, freshen up a cocktail, we'll get into it. Great stuff.
Thanks.
Good stuff. Breaking Bad is by the hottest stallion in the industry out of a great mare, Sweet Abra. He is athletic, extremely cowy, and was easy to train. He's a 3-time major events open champion with lifetime earnings of $230,000 and counting. He is subscribed to all the major NCHA and NRCHA programs and is in the Legacy Bonus Program with an estimated payout of $1 million at this year's NCHA Futurity. His 2026 breeding fee is $4,500 plus shoot fee. Breaking Bad is owned by Fultz Ranch, the previous owners of Metallic Cat and Stevie Ray Vaughan. The same people that made those two stallions household legendary names in the cutting and cow horse industries. Mention the Uncut Real Raw Podcast for free apparel with a paid contract.
It's not easy making change. It's not easy raising champions. It's not easy breeding excellence. But the equine industry demands nothing less than the finest. That's when true greatness is born. At Valley Equine, we nurture that greatness every day. We cultivate the next generation of champions, the future icons of the arena. There's a lot of dedication involved, and we've been committed for more than a decade. Through trials and triumphs, we've been there, steadfast in our mission. Today, we are the leader in equine breeding, with specialized expertise in producing tomorrow's champions. We drive the evolution of equine excellence through innovation, empowering breeders to shape the future of the industry. We firmly believe that the world of equine breeding is constantly changing, and that we can too. Advance with us. We are Valley Equine, many years in the making and committed to excellence.
Visit valleyequinerepro.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you in part by Silver Spurs Equine, home of the $1 million challenge. Okay, Chad, we're back from a break, mate. So basically, the new chapter is now the barrel racing.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one to me because I especially love when people go from one discipline to another and jump ship and just think outside the box. So you're in Halter horses, you've got this program, this Futurity, it's working, things are good.
Right.
Technically, you could have stayed there doing what you were doing.
And technically I did. So I haven't gotten completely out of, we've gradually done fewer, but I'm still involved with the Halter horse industry.
Okay, fair enough.
And still love them.
Okay. So what makes your brain now wander somewhere else? What gets you into barrel racing? There's no connection there between Halter horse and barrel racing. Yeah. So what starts to bridge that connection for you?
Well, I think what I realized is because again, the stallion business and the breeding business is what's always been intriguing to me. Okay. And I wanted to be more successful. I was just determined to make that model work. And in the barrel industry, what I realized is there may be hundreds of people in the halter horse industry. There's thousands and thousands of barrel racers.
Very much so.
I mean, it's one of the great disciplines, and it's growing, and anybody can do it. And the D system was really unique. We could talk about that.
Who invented that?
You know what? It was a group of people, and I've been told the story, but I don't really remember, and I would tell it wrong. But it's been around for quite a while. It was a brilliant idea, and it really
did like the numbered system. Like yesterday, I interviewed Denny Gentry and the whole numbering of the roping.
Well, Denny was with us when we started the Riata Buckle. Anyway,
We'll
great guy, really good guy.
Yeah, well, that whole numbered system of roping was revolutionary as well, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It changed the whole industry.
It completely changed that industry.
Okay.
But so the D system did the same thing for the barrel industry, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't around in the barrel industry early on, and so I didn't get to witness a lot of that. But it's a very unique system that allows people of every level to at least win some money.
Yeah.
And and justify their.
Everybody wants the chance to have a chick.
Yeah.
So tell me again, how did you make the connection from Halter horses to the barrel racing?
Yeah.
Did you have somebody into barrels around you?
So yeah, I had a lot of good friends there in Spanish Fork. It's kind of, for some reason, Utah is one of the, I'd call it a honey hole for really good barrel horses. Some really good friends of mine that just lived around the corner, the Jarvises, they had a stallion there, and he's one of the, probably in my opinion, the best the best barrel horse going today. The Goodbye Lane, sure you've heard of him. We got to be really good friends, and just seeing all of that and looking into that industry, I realized that was a really good place for the business model. And I love the barrel horses. Conformation matters, just like it does in race horses. So it really wasn't much of a stretch for me, because I feel like conformation is still the number one factor in form to function and what makes, I've never bought a horse off the papers. You've got to go look at them. They've got to be structurally correct. And that wasn't any different than the halter horse industry. And going at the sales and you're buying yearlings for whether it's race horses or barrel prospects, you're still looking at conformation because you don't know if they can run yet.
Yes, that's correct. Doug Carpenter was, bought and sold more NRHA Futurity champions and cow horse Futurity champions than anybody. And when I would go to look at horses with him, whether they were in the pasture, yearlings, for example, we'd go out to a pasture and there might be 30 yearlings. And the ranch manager would start rattling off the breeding. Oh, that number, that one's by this and out of this. And as soon as they started mentioning the breeding, Doug would stop and say, I don't want to hear how they're bred.
Yeah.
And he said, don't tell me unless I ask. And we looked at him for, about an hour, and we got back in the truck, and I said, how come you don't want to know how they're bred? And he said, because it'll mess with your head.
I think that's
He said,
brilliant.
because when one's by the Futurity champion, out of the Futurity mare, your mind says that's got to be the winner. Your mind will play tricks on you. He said, I pick them off conformation first, the ones that are built the way I want them to be built. Then it's athletic ability, put them in a round pen, see how they get around, see athletic ability, and do they have the conformation and athletic ability to do what I want them to do? Do they stay in lead? How do they stop? How do they turn?
Exactly.
And he said 3, then I want to know their papers.
That's right.
Most people do the complete opposite. They look at the papers first, and then confirmation last, and maybe athletic ability second. He did it completely ass backwards.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And because he said a lot of the best bred horses often have the shittiest conformation.
Isn't that the truth?
You know, and I remember the first year I went to the Kelton Futurity with him, this sale book and this friggin', 300-400 yearlings for sale. And I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I went through this catalog and how many of them are so well bred and out of mares that have won so much money. And he just looked at me and he said, yeah. He said 90% of them won't work.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? He said, you'd be shocked when we actually go to look at them, how ill-built a lot of them are, bad conformation, bad wheels on them, upside down neck and back on them. He said they'll be lucky if there's 10% of these that we even want to look at. You know what I mean? But on paper, they were phenomenal. Yeah. So, okay, so you think to yourself, there's fresh blood here.
Yeah.
There's blood in the water. You see a great opportunity to build something here.
Yeah.
What happens now?
Well, so part of that story, so Lance Robinson and I, and he was just in the racehorse business, and
wasn't he your partner in the bio
he
deal?
was, exactly. He was my partner in the Biotech company, but he was a horse guy. In fact, he went to the NFR several times back in the day. Back in the 80s, he was a calf roper and a bulldogger. So he was a true,
horseman.
Yeah, a really, really good horseman. And so we were in business together. I would go out and help him do the breeding because the breeding was something I was really intrigued with. So I'd go out and do embryo transfers for him, help them collect their studs, ship semen. So I did a lot of that with them. So we became really good friends, and we were partners in the Biotech company. In a lot of those meetings in the Biotech company, we ended up talking about the horse deal. It didn't go over so well with some of the other partners, but so he and I talking together said, the barrel thing might be the best. Now, he wasn't involved with the Breeders' Hall Futurity, but he saw the success of it because he was real supportive of what I was doing. I went out to Keeneland with him and go to the racehorse sales and that kind of stuff. We did a lot of stuff together.
That's awesome.
And so that's how that began. And so Lance Robinson and his family and my family, we decided we're going to do this. We're going to start this program in the barrel racing.
So how'd you come up with the name Pink Buckle?
Actually, it was another guy. Lance and I got together, and Lance had a partner who's a really good friend of mine, but Keith Nellison is his name. And Keith and Lance were our partners, and still are partners in the quarter horse racing industry. So when Lance and I started it, I said, hey, we're going to have to guarantee $1 million to make this work. And if it's a flop, we got to pay out the $1 million. If we say we're going to pay out $1 million, we got to pay it out. So you have to be, we committed to each other. We'd pay it out. He said, well, what if we bring in another guy and that'll kind of soften the blow. And Keith had been super successful, sold a couple companies for a lot of money, and so that he was kind of going to be the safety net. Well, after a few meetings, we realized that he didn't think it was going to work. The business model didn't work, but he's the one that came up with the name. So he ended up not being a partner.
But he named it.
Yeah, he's very involved, great guy, literally a great guy, very supportive, but he's the one that came up with the name, the Pink Buckle.
So he didn't think the numbers would work, but you and Lance did, correct?
And everybody that we talked to, not everybody, a lot of the people that we talked to said it'll never work.
Okay.
Butch Wise, who's one of the, I'm sure you know Butch, he came out and he just told us we were idiots. Said it'll never work. It can't work.
What was your theory different in doing this new, I don't know, we'll call it program, not association, but this new program? What did you learn from the Halter horse program that you wanted to do different in this Pink Buckle program? But what did you learn? The business was successful. So what did you want to change? Even though it was very successful for the other one, what did you want to change? Where did you see you made mistakes?
The biggest one was the ownership structure, and the payout structure. So it was just Lance and I. We didn't want to have to. We were going to do it with 25 stallions. We didn't want 25 people
telling
us what to do.
Yeah.
So that was the big thing, and that was a a good decision. So
you can only have one leader, can't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm not. I've had a great experience in the Breeders' Hall Futurity. We've always gotten along good. We never had any conflict. So part of that is we had Karen Kennedy running in it. She was really good, or still is really good. But so we never had any problems. However, it was we barely escaped several problems.
Yes, you dodged a few bullets.
Yeah, we dodged some bullets there.
So what was the basic of the program then? What did you decide to do?
So we decided to do. We wanted to be able to pay out $1 million
in one horse show, in one event, or one event. Or through the year, or what?
One event.
One event.
We guaranteed at least $1 million.
And was it going to be a Futurity, a Derby? What was it?
So a Futurity and an Open. And so
So what is a Futurity in a barrel world?
Okay.
3-year-olds or 4-year-olds?
So 4-year-olds, 4 or 5. So they can't run until they're 4, but you can hold off and run them as a 5-year-old.
And you still call it a Futurity?
It's still a Futurity, and you only get 1 year of eligibility.
Which is a 4 and 5-year-old.
4 or 5-year-old.
And what is Open then?
So Open is anything
above 5.
Well, they can you can roll over if you run in the Futurity. You can roll over into the Open, so you can compete in the Open as a 4-year-old. But you're going to be running against all the horses that want to compete to whatever age.
Okay.
So no matter, the nice thing about the Futurity is, if you've got a 7-year-old that's out there beating everybody, you don't have to compete against them.
Fair enough. Okay. So basically, you in your world, like in the Reina and the cow horse and Reina cutters, a Futurity is a 3-year-old horse, not quite 4. Mm-hmm. Yours is a horse that is actually 4 and 4. Can be 5 as well.
That's
both
right.
2-year eligibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but you only have 1 year of eligibility. So if you don't run as a 4-year-old, you can run as a 5. But if you ran even 1 as a 4-year-old, you can't run as a 5.
Okay.
You have to go to the Derby.
So you're paying $1 million for that one event.
Yeah, we split it. We put part of it in the Futurity and part of it in the Open. I'm trying to remember what we paid out.
What year was this? Did you get it started?
2018.
Okay. Righto. So you and Lance have you got your nuts on the line. You've had to put in $500,000 each to this deal.
Yeah.
And, you've really had to put your neck on the line here. So tell me, what was the structure of the stallions and how many stallions did you want? What did you come out the gate with?
So what we decided to do is to limit the pink buckle to 50 stallions.
Okay.
We limit it. And we will, and the pitch that we gave to the stallion owners to get them to compete, to participate is they'll never be more than 50. And we've held to that. We'll never have more than 50.
How'd you come up with 50? Why not 30? Why not 80? Where'd you come up with 50?
Well, it was enough stallions that we felt like the money could continue to grow, but it was small enough to give them a competitive edge.
Okay.
Again, what I talked about before, there are so many stallions, and to give them a marketing advantage, to give people, people can breed to literally 10,000 barrel stallions. There's one on every street corner. But the pink buckle, we felt like if you could compete for $1 million, you're giving those stallion owners something that nobody else has. There's only 50 stallions in the world that can compete at the richest barrel racing.
So what was the initial buy-in?
They had to commit to the $25,000.
So still $25,000 per year.
Per year.
For how many years?
We didn't make them sign a contract at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
We told them that it may take some time for this to work, and I think we talked to them about committing for a 4-year period, but that wasn't contractual.
So technically, they could have dropped out in year 2.
They could.
But once you gave up your slot, what happened to that slot?
Well, so if they gave up the slot, it went back.
To who?
To us.
Uh-huh.
To us. And the first year we only had about 40 stallions. So we didn't sign them all up that first year.
So let me ask you, the 40 you did get at $25,000, was it a hard sell?
To some of them, it was a really hard sell.
Even though you had a great success with the Halter horse.
I think that was the only thing that made any of them do it.
Yeah, that saved your ass. You had a track record.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have done it at all. Because first of all, Lance and I weren't barrel horse people. Even though Lance had been involved in the racehorse thing, and a lot of the barrel people knew him because he, been to the NFR and so forth. I was just a Halter horse guy. And the barrel people, that doesn't give you any credibility.
No, not at all. They probably hate your guts.
Yeah. So it didn't help me at all.
Yeah.
But we could, when I sat down with them or when we talked to them, we could show them, look, it worked in the Halter horse thing, and the Halter horse thing's a tough gig. If you can make money with Halter horses.
You're damn right about that. That is a good thing. If you can make money out of Halter horses, you can about make money out of anything. So did you have to literally go door knocking and drive up to people's ranches and say, hey, I need 30 minutes of your time, sit down at the kitchen table? Like, how'd you pull this off?
It was mostly done on the phone. Whether it was, we got a few people together that we knew, and then asked for references, and honestly, we opened the books and looked up the stallions and called them. And of course, a lot of the stallions we knew, and we wanted certain stallions. The program is better if you have better studs.
Very much.
So we called a lot of those, and a lot of them told us no. Some of them were a tough sale. There were a couple that held on to the very end and didn't get in until the next year. But once the first event we had, even though we only had the 40, once we paid out the money, we paid out the $1 million. In fact, we paid 1.2 the first year. Then it
took off.
Oh yeah, it was.
So let me ask you that: when you get 40 people to sign up that first year, have you got to wait 3 years for those foals to be born, or did you do it the next year? How
so
did
we
that
had
work?
it the first year. So we signed them up. It started in we started the commitment in the fall, but they had to nominate their horses through that year. And then that first fall, we had our pink buckle.
So did those horses that competed, did they have to pay the $200 entry fee?
They had to pay the
do
nomination fee.
they still pay an entry fee as well?
Yeah, so they pay an annual nomination fee to make them eligible, and then there's a $500 entry fee.
Okay.
And that entry fee is to either the Futurity or the Open.
So after that, so you got to give away money the first year, and then once that next crop of babies is born by those 40 stallions or 50, those babies then pay a $200 nomination fee as a weanling, correct?
Yeah. And it's for life. So when we put a new horse in, or when we started it, all their progeny was grandfathered in. So we got a lot of horses that had...
the ones that are already born.
So there were lots of horses that had 10-year-old, 15-year-old progeny, and they were all eligible. They all had to pay the $200 nomination, and then their
doesn't matter what
grandfather
age they were.
Doesn't matter what age. And when we bring a new stallion in, that's how we do it. So if you had a 20-year-old stud and you wanted to bring him in, all his progeny are eligible that first year for just the $200.
So it's a $25,000 buy-in per stud.
Per stud.
Correct?
Yep.
So What is it now to buy it? Well, how long did
it's
it
the same
take?
every year.
How long did it take you to sell the 50 slots then?
Well, after our first event and it was successful, we had a waiting list. We ended up having a waiting list of 250 stallions.
You're shitting me.
Yeah.
Could people sell their slot like in the breeders' Futurity?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what were those slots selling for?
There's been some that have sold for over 800,000.
You're shitting me.
Yeah.
So any individual can sell because it's gold, isn't it?
They sell every year. There's a few slots that sell every year.
Every year, and it's basically sell to the open market, correct?
Yeah. They have to run it through the office. We have to approve because if there's a conflict or we have to approve the sale, but we facilitate the sale, and then we it's good that we're involved because we guarantee to the buyer that
This is
it's like a
legit.
title company.
Yeah.
We make sure that they feel like.
Do you think
they're
that
safe.
was a secret of yours? Is that you limited at 50 and you really did stick to it?
Yes.
That's a big
Yeah.
secret to it. Silver Spurs Equine owns and stands over 30 champion performance horse stallions. They strive to provide options to top prospects for every preference and budget. Reining is the main focus of Silver Spur's breeding program, and they have developed their $1 Million Challenge as an incredible incentive that offers huge payouts to the champions of 7 different reining competitions around the world. Silver Spurs also raises about 150 foals per year at their ranch in Oklahoma, and each one is offered to the public for sale. This provides a wide variety of options to buyers looking for their next prospect, and most would be eligible for the $1 Million Challenge. Find the perfect cross of traditional performance horse bloodlines combined with the modern dynamics of today's performance horses. All available prospects can be found at silverspurssalehorses.com.
How do you know what it takes to become successful? Talk to someone who's done it. Clinton Anderson became a multi-millionaire by leveraging his passion for horse training into a global brand and media empire, starting with nothing but the change in his pocket and the will to succeed. In doing so, he revolutionized an industry and became a celebrity. Now, you can put his experience and advice to work for your business. With Clinton Anderson's business consultancy, you can tap into Clinton's unique perspective, hear his straight talk, and get his no-nonsense advice. Just imagine yourself armed with Clinton's hard-earned knowledge and entrepreneurial spirit. So whether you own a ranch or any sort of business at all, we invite you to discover the transformative power of Clinton Anderson's leadership and innovation in your business. Call 1-888-287-7432 to take your business to the next level today.
Hi, my name is Melanie Smith with Solo Select Horses. We have been a part of the ICSI process for several years with Biotech with exceptional results, and we continue to work with them every day to improve the technology and improve the results for our customers. Biotech has really transformed the industry and allowed us to transform our business. I feel like they want to take the research that they get within the lab, the information we give to them, and really once again maximize the results that we can get for all of our customers, because if our customers win, we win and Biotech wins. For more information on advanced equine reproductive services, please visit genetechvet.com.
I'm sure you've probably heard that we have the ruby buckle. I don't know how much you know of.
I don't know a lot about
Okay.
it. I've heard of the ruby, but I have no idea of the difference between the pink buckle and the ruby and all this bullshit. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So treat me like I'm an idiot and walk me through it.
So we ended up having the 200 and I think it was 250, maybe it was 240 stallions on the waiting list. And I couldn't sleep at night because if I would have been one of those stallion owners on the outside and there were 250 outside and 50 inside, I would have just got all those guys and started a program and get better. Yeah. So I couldn't. It really worried me, and so I called Lance and said, "Listen, I think we need to start another one," and we had made a commitment to the 50 stallion owners would never add more. So that was a little bit of a problem. You have these 250 stallions that are knocking on the door, very impatient, and if they wanted to go do their own, they could have beat us.
Yes, and being your competition.
And we couldn't. But we'd made promises to the pink buckle guys that we weren't.
Did you
gonna do more.
grandfather those 50 in that they'll never pay more than $25,000 per year, or does it go
We
up?
didn't guarantee that, but
So
we've
has
never
it?
gone up.
You'd never gone up.
But
and how
it's-
many years has it run then?
Till now, so this 18. So 8 years.
8 years, and it hasn't gone up from the 25,000.
We've never increased it.
Okay.
We can, but we haven't. So anyway, we decided to start another one that would be kind of like we did the amateur and the open and the breeders. We did it, and we called it the Ruby Buckle, and we added 100 stallions. But to facilitate, to make sure that the Pink Buckle stallion owners that had committed to us, and they took a big risk on us.
They did,
They
yes.
took a big risk. So we didn't want to hurt any of them. And so what we did is we allowed them into the Ruby Buckle at no additional charge.
Okay.
So the Ruby Buckle has 150 stallions, and they pay $7,000 each instead of $25,000. But there's 150 stallions, and the Pink Buckle pays the nomination fee for the 50. So the original 50 still pay just 25.
Still pay 25, but
and
they're
the Pink
in both
Buckle pays
associations.
the Ruby Buckle the $7,000 entry fee, and so the Ruby Buckle has 150 stallions at $7,000. Okay. And we have 3 events. It's a little. We formed it a little bit different. We decided to do it regional. The Pink Buckle has one event in Guthrie,
What time
Oklahoma.
of the year?
It's in October.
October of every year.
Of every year.
Okay. I'd love to come to it next time.
We'd love to
I'd love
have
to
you.
come and see this deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
It's
got
really
a bunch
neat.
of barrel racing bitches that love to kill me, but I might have to have
Yeah,
security.
imagine that. Yeah.
That's some funny shit. But I'd love to go see this event.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, I'd love to see this event. So that's in October at the Lazy Eve.
At the Lazy Eve.
And then when is the Ruby deal?
So
How
the
does-
Ruby, we have 3. We have one. We just had one a couple weeks ago, and that's also at the Lazy E. So we have one in the middle of the country, and then we have one in a few weeks in Utah. That's where we're from. So we do one in Utah, and then we have one in Perry, Georgia, in the end of September.
So there's 3 separate barrel races.
Yeah.
And you split the money from the Ruby over the 3?
That's correct, equally. So
Equally.
each one of those pays out 1.12 million.
So is there more? So it sounds like there's a lot more money being paid out to the Ruby than what there is the Pink.
No, so the Pink now it's grown every year. We will pay out this year 4.4 million.
Oh my God! Well, where is the extra prize money coming from? If you're not collecting more money from the 50 stallions, it's $25,000 a year. Where are you getting the additional prize money from?
From the $200 nomination.
Each falls $200.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they pay it every year. So, these, and another thing that's nice about so back to the Halter horse thing, they show Halter horses as babies. So you get one $200 nomination before they compete. With the barrel horses, because they're 4 before they compete, you're going to get $800 worth of nomination money before they ever run.
Oh, okay. So that $200 per horse is going to be paid every single year.
Every single year.
Okay, that's where the additional money's coming from.
Yeah. And so we have thousands and thousands of horses nominate every year to stay eligible.
That's awesome. Man, what a hell of a deal. So is Ruby got more popular than Pink Buckle, or what's
It depends on the group of people. It depends on who you ask.
Okay. I don't know how this will come across, but is there a different, I don't even want to say class of people, but is there a different group of people that show up to each one?
Yeah. So there's people that go to both, and there's some people that love both, but there's some people that really only like the Ruby. And
Is
some
the Ruby, I suppose what I'm trying to ask is the Ruby more for the entry-level barrel racer beginner, and the Pink Buckles for more of the hardcore girls, or or not really?
So I would say yes, but not because the fees are any higher, because the fees are all the same. But I think there's a little bit of a misconception in the Pink Buckle that it's so competitive. The best trainers in the world are there. The best horses in the world are there. The one we had last year, I mean, it was so competitive. There's just so many great horses.
I want to come
because you're
see
running
this.
for so much money that I think a lot of times people sit back and they think there's just no way I can go there and make any money. So I think it has developed a little bit of a different feel, and one's a little more competitive than the other. But I think that's a misconception, if I'm being honest.
So let me ask you, they've got a Futurity, so they running one time for this check, or two
there's
go rounds?
There's
How's it
two
work?
goes in an average. So they run twice.
And then they add the 2 scores together.
Yeah, so we divide the money in half. So we pay 25% in each go and 50% to the average. So if you hit a barrel on your first go, you can still run your next go. You could win money on your second go, but you're pretty much out of the average.
Okay, so let's say you don't hit any barrels and you have 2 pretty good runs. They add both those times together,
Yes, that's
and
correct.
whoever's got the lowest total score
Wins
obviously
the 1D.
wins.
Yep.
wins the money. And it's still in the 4D system?
Yeah. And here's another thing that we did different. It's been a little bit controversial, and I'm sure there's people that dislike us because some of the things that we've done, very unconventional.
Yeah.
But again, we weren't barrel people, so we could kind of get away with doing
Opinions are like arseholes, Chad. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
And I've often found that anybody in the horse industry that's trying to do something different will be hated on.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But if you're making, especially when you start making money in the horse industry, everybody's your friend when you pull.
Yeah.
When you start making some money and doing some good, it's amazing how many people fucking turn on you.
sure.
So that doesn't bother me one little bit. So so what's the controversy?
So what had always been kind of the standard is let's say it's a 5D race or a 4D race, which is what ours has always been. They would pay the majority of the money in the 1D and then kind of scale it down, which hypothetically makes sense because the most competitive horses, you pay the better horses. But the reason, so what we did is we pay our Ds equally in the open.
Okay.
Equal. So whoever wins the 4D wins is the same amount of money as could be the best rider and best horse in the world wins the 1D.
And people don't like that?
They didn't like it.
Why not?
Well, if you're a competitor, you've been a competitor your whole life at a high level, do you think a pro should get paid the same as an amateur? That's their argument.
Okay.
And it's a legitimate argument. But here's my opinion. I'm a business guy.
Yeah.
I think about business. The 2D, 3D, 4D girls are the girls with the mares. The competitive, the pros, they don't have time to breed mares. They don't have time to support stallion. They're out on the road. They're running, every weekend.
Try to make an industry work without the amateurs, and we'll see how far it gets.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
In the horse industry, we pay. If you look at it, if you look at 1,000 horses, the lower level, there's going to be the most horses. And as you get more competitive, there's going to be very few horses at the highest level.
Very much so.
But we pay out the exact opposite. We pay the most money at the top and the least money at the bottom, which is great for competition. It's really bad for business. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any business sense whatsoever.
Yeah, but you don't do that model. You pay.
We pay them.
All the divisions pay equally.
We pay them equally, that was controversial. To this day, it's may be controversial, but we had several stallion owners that just wouldn't even participate because of that. But it's turned out to be one of the greatest decisions we made.
So let me ask you, if somebody in that original 50 drops out, it shouldn't be hard to resell their slot, correct?
Well, now they wouldn't drop out because they would just sell their slot if they don't.
Okay.
I mean,
so even if they're pissed, they're going to sell their slot.
And everybody made a lot. There hasn't been anyone that's gotten out that didn't make a lot of money, because if they were in for 4 years, they had $100,000 into it. But if they sell their slot for $500,000, they made money.
Yeah, that's awesome. So has it made it that if you're a stallion owner in the barrel world, if you're not in the ruby or you're not in the pink buckle, can you even compete? Are your foals even worth a shit? You know what I mean? All honesty, has it got to the point where unless they're involved in this program, you won't get much market share?
Well, there's so many great events out there that I would not say that that's correct.
Okay.
But I would say that for sure the pink and ruby buckle eligible horses require a premium when you go to sell them.
Yeah.
So
so do you have a sale at these events as well?
Yeah, we do. We have a pink buckle sale and a ruby buckle sale.
And they're selling weanlings, yearlings, older horses. What are you
Mares
selling?
in full, everything.
Everything.
Stallions. We've sold stallions with slots. We just had one that went through the ruby buckle sale that brought 300 that had a slot. The ruby buckle slots aren't quite as valuable because there's more of them.
Mm-hmm. What do you think they average? Average, mind you.
100. Somewhere between 75 to 150,000.
And what do you think
slots.
the pink buckles average? Average.
650, 700,000.
That's incredible. Good for you. That's awesome. I've been doing business now at DT Horses for probably almost 10 years now. And one of the things I really appreciate about doing business with them is they're horsemen first. They care about who buys their horses, where their horses go, and ultimately they want the horse to excel at whatever event it has the most natural disposition and talent to do. Sure, they raise world champion cow horses, reining horses, cutting horses, and rope horse Futurity horses, but in reality, Dean Tufton is fanatical about letting that horse tell you what event it's going to excel at. Sure, we might buy a cow horse, but it may be suited better for the rope horse Futurity prospects, might be suited better for a cutter. You don't often get breeders that are absolutely fanatical about making sure those horses get the best start possible and ultimately excel in the event that they're going to do the best at. They have the most natural talent, disposition, and they enjoy that particular event. Like I said, been doing business with DT horses now for a little over 10 years and absolutely enjoy it. One of the best places I've got to buy my horses.
For information about the athletes available, please contact the DT Horses office at 480-471-4348.
Their hearts thunder for us. Their flesh and bone pushed to lift us higher, carry us faster, and stop on a dime. And when they've had a great ride, they deserve a great recovery. They deserve a Cold Creek. Cold Creek Spas offer state-of-the-art 35-degree aerated saltwater therapy, proven to reduce injury, speed recovery, and keep them at peak performance. Cold Creek Therapeutic Spas. This water is for winners.
Nothing would please them more than to see this old piece of shit in a coffin. Oh, they want to drive a steel knife down his stupid fucking throat, and they talk about it quite often.
Righto, guys, we got hate mail here. This is from Robert Salute. Okay, Robert. You should know you be... Oh, God, this motherfucker worse English than me. You should know you be arsehole. If you spend much time on horseman, you still be with first wife. Robert, motherfucker, Trump's going to deport you, okay? If you can't speak motherfucking English, I'm going to report you to Donald Trump and he's going to deport your ass. Speak fucking English, you moron. I'm terrible at English, and even I can fucking spell better than this dickhead.
Ever wanted to own a champion? Clinton Anderson, world-class horse trainer and competitor, has been spotting and developing promising horses into greatness for decades. Now, he is offering an exclusive ownership opportunity to create champion horses. Introducing Clinton Anderson's Performance Partnership. In this exclusive program, you and Clinton will co-own a top-tier performance horse that will be meticulously trained and cared for by Clinton Anderson himself. This isn't just an investment, it's a first-hand experience of horsemanship excellence. With Clinton's help and advice, you'll choose the horse that resonates with your ambitions, and Clinton takes the reins from there. From training to stabling, from the practice arena to the winner's circle, Clinton's unwavering dedication ensures that your equine athlete reaches its full potential. This partnership is about more than business. It's about a shared passion for equestrian excellence. And Clinton Anderson isn't just your trainer, he's your partner, fully invested in every horse's success. Together, you'll share in the excitement, the prestige, and the profits. Membership is strictly limited to ensure each investor receives personalized attention and commitment. It's your chance to be part of an exclusive equine ownership community that combines the excitement of competition with the satisfaction of success. Don't miss your opportunity to join Clinton Anderson's Performance Partnership, a unique collaboration that transforms dreams into equine champions. Experience the heart of horsemanship excellence. Find out more at ClintonAndersonPerformanceHorses.com.
Looking back on it now, you've been running this, 10 years?
Yeah,
8 years, okay. Any regrets? Anything you wish you would have done different? It's been obviously very successful, but we always can reflect. What would you change, if anything? I'm not saying you would, but
I would say the one thing I would probably do different in the Ruby Buckle is just have one event. The reason that we did the 3 events is because, we have stallion owners live in Washington, some live on the East Coast, and it's really hard for them to come in. So structurally, having them regionally is really convenient, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. So you guys are actually putting on these barrel races.
On the
you rent the facility, hire the staff. That's I've toured for 20 years now, and I understand how much work goes in to put in on your own events.
Yeah,
How many barrel racing horses are showing up to these events on average?
Oh, that would be a Tiffany question, my wife, because she handles all of that. But probably we'll probably sell 1,200 stalls or something at the.
So you're limited to what even facilities you can go to.
Yeah, it's really hard to get a facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple arenas running at once, or just one?
No, just one.
Just one.
But it's over a week. It takes a long time to do it all.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. I love where you headed. Has anybody copied this in the barrel world, or has there been other programs like this? Or
So right after we did it, there were several that kind of popped up.
did they survive? Did they not survive?
Some have done better than others. There's several that have and tried to do it a little bit better, or do things that they think that maybe their own twist on it, and they've been successful. We've been very blessed in that ours still pays out the most, and so we're happy.
People will follow the money.
Yeah, and
every program that I've seen, when I say similar to yours, the concept of gathering a bunch of money and giving a bunch of money out. The ones that I've seen that have done well, and the ones that I eventually caved, is when the owners got greedy and started keeping more money back.
Yeah.
They eventually failed.
Yeah,
the owners that stayed true and didn't get greedy, even though it grew, and kept giving that prize money away, they stayed really strong. That's what I've noticed from the outside going on. Now, it's easy to give that money away in the beginning, but when it really starts making a lot of money, it's easy for that greed to come in and say, okay, we're gonna give less out in prize money. We've got the market captured, but I think that's a bad business mistake.
Yeah, for sure. It's really ironic that you would bring that up, because most people wouldn't believe it, but for the first 4 years, we never took any money.
Yeah, I could believe that.
We paid, our staff,
Yeah.
but Lance and I never took any money.
That doesn't surprise me one little bit. People that don't own their own businesses have no idea the overhead. They have no idea of the expenses, what it costs to be there. Like when I do a tour, I'll do a 2-day tour. There might be, 1,000 to 1,500 people show up. I might do $200,000 in sales. Mm-hmm. But shit, I had $150,000 in expenses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 3 semis going in, flying in 30 people, hotels. The amount of overhead is crazy. People see 5-6 cash registers lined up with people, 20 deep, thinking Clinton's making bank. They have no fucking idea of the expenses to go onto those tours. Right. Yeah. None. Yeah. So that doesn't shock me at all that you didn't keep any money for the first 4 years. But you guys also put up $500,000 each.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So where do you see the barrel? I know that the rope horse futurity industry and the roping industry is absolutely booming. And in fact, all the industries are booming. Ever since COVID, horse prices have pretty much doubled in the last 5 years, in my opinion. You agree or disagree with that?
I completely agree, yeah.
Okay. You could say that's good or bad. I don't give a fuck. It is reality. You know what I mean? House prices are doubled. When I moved here 5 years ago, I invested all my money in real estate out here, commercial real estate and rental homes. They've all gone up by 40%.
Yeah.
So it's not just horses, but everything's gone up in the last 5 years, tremendously too. Expenses on everything. So the whole horse industry is absolutely booming right now. Where do you see the barrel industry going, or even just the horse industry in general going?
Yeah. So
you optimistic?
I don't think I've ever been as optimistic as I am today.
Okay.
Even though that in our country there's a lot of turmoil, a lot of uncertainty, I think the horse business is stronger. One of the things that I feel really strongly about, I think the horse business is a good way of life. And I think people are looking, especially family-oriented people, there's so many things that kids can get distracted with. It's a great way to live, and it's a great way to raise a family, and it's a good environment. Even though you could argue there's some people in the horse business
there's shady people in every industry.
But it's a good, it's better than having your kids glued to a TV screen or a computer screen. So it's a good way of life. And so I think there's fewer of those things out there today, and the horse business is a good thing to do. And I think it's going to continue to grow.
What do you think about the other industries, the rope horse futurity? What do you think about some of the other industries?
It's kind of the same thing. Okay. I think that the disciplines that don't pay out money are going to continue to shrink.
I don't know why theoretically, what you've did and Denny Gentry with the Riata and all that, why couldn't every industry do something similar?
I think they could. Yeah.
The next big growth that I personally see for the horse industry, as far as the Western performance horse industry, is this ranch riding.
Yeah.
This ranch riding is huge.
It is.
Whoever is going to have the balls to get involved early and start its own association, its own futurity, basically do what you did with Pink Buckle, I think it's going to take off because everybody can compete in the ranch riding. Yep. From the little old lady that doesn't ride very good to the really competitive girl that can ride really well or guy. It's going to be huge.
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
absolute. That event is taking off. I have no doubt that they're going to eventually have their own ranch riding world show, ranch riding futurities, ranch riding sales. Somebody better capitalize on that because it is getting big.
It is.
And it's only going to get bigger because they've let it to where everybody can compete.
Yeah.
Now, sure, some of those really high-end ranch riding horses now are bringing 100,000. Like, in the beginning, you could sell a level 1 or 2 reiner that wasn't very good and turn it into a ranch rider and it would do really well. Now, I see in the next couple of years, ranch riding is going to get so damn competitive, they'll be just training them for ranch riding.
I agree.
They won't be a flunked out reiner. It won't be a flunked out, you know what I mean? It'll be that, just like, if you would have told me 10 years ago that the rope horse futurity industry was going to have their own bloodlines, their own breeding, their own associations, their own money kept, I would have said, you're crazy. Rope horses are nothing but fucking culls from the reining industry, cutting industry, and cow horse industry, and they they buy them for 10 cents on the dollar and they turn it into rope horses. Look at it now.
Yep.
It's far from a cull.
Same thing with the barrel industry.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Barrel horses for years used to be
rejects.
culls.
Yeah.
Now they've got their own bloodlines, their own industry, etc. So that's where I see the next big growth. What's in the future for you guys now? You're obviously successful. You're a driven individual. Where's your mind going? Are you thinking about building something else? Where's your head right now?
So we ended up we took on a partner in the Pink Buckle. So the Equine Network came in and they bought 50% of the Pink and Ruby Buckle. Mm-hmm. So that's taken a lot of stress and load off me.
Yep.
I was always worried every year. One of the things that we do that's also a little different is we give our payout like 9 months in advance. So a lot of industries are barrel
what do you
events.
mean payout?
So a typical producer in the barrel industry will say we're going to do an 80% payback. So they don't say how much they're going to pay at a barrel event. They just say it's an 80% payback. So if they get 1,000 entries at 500, that's their pot, and their purse will be 80%, and they keep 20%.
Yep.
We've never done that. We announce ahead of time, we're going to pay out, like the Pink Buckle, we're committed, we're paying out $4.4 million. If one horse shows up, we're paying out $4.4 million.
Oh, interesting.
So we do it different.
Why did you do that different? Why wouldn't you hedge the bets and just say, I'm going to give away 80%?
Because it capped us at 20%.
Okay.
And even though the first few years we didn't make 20%, we knew eventually if we ran it right, I don't want to be capped.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. But you're also nuts are on the line for that money,
for
too.
Sure.
So if you advertise...
If you don't believe in yourself, it's a bad way to go.
Yeah. So if you advertise $4.2 million is going to be given away, you better give that out. Yeah. So do you guys literally write checks at the event to people?
At the event. They get their money. Now, all the checks are available at the event. Most of them don't stick around. We end up mailing them out. But we also pay a percentage to the stallion owner and a percentage to the breeder. So...
what percentage is that?
10% to each. So we pay 10% to the stallion owner and 10% to the breeder, whoever owned the mare at time of conception, the breeder on the registration papers, and they get a check.
Forever?
For that event. So if the Futurity winner wins, let's say it's $45,000, the owner of the horse that won first place gets 80% of that $45,000. The stallion owner gets 10%, and the breeder gets 10%.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And that helps incentivize people to breed their mares to the stallions. And then it also is, a way for the stallion owners to get some payback on their $25,000 annual payment.
And this goes over about a week event at the Pink Buckle?
6 days.
Yep. Why Lazy E? Was that just something centrally located or enough stalls? Or why'd you pick that facility?
So Lance had a really good relationship with the Lazy E. That was probably the original. It was really hard to find a venue that could handle
that many horses.
And they've been so good to us. I have a great relationship with the Lazy E also. The people there are amazing.
I want to come to your event. When is it this year?
So it's the middle of October. The first
oh,
of
that's right
first
when
of
the
October.
cow horse Futurity is.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's right in
But
the middle of the cow horse Futurity.
Even if you could sneak away, where's the cow horse Futurity?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
I think it runs from the 10th to the 20th or something like that.
Yeah.
When's your event on? What dates?
I mean, I'm going to have to send that to you because I'm not sure.
You fucking pussy. You don't know. You're as bad as me.
My wife manages everything. I don't even know when my birthday is.
What are the dates? 5th through the 12th. 5th through the 12th. Man, that's such a shame because I would like to come to this event and see what it's like. I might try to sneak away for a day.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, I'd like to see this. That would be awesome. Well, congratulations to you, mate, and to Lance as well. I obviously didn't get to meet him, but congratulations to you both. I just love it when people think outside the box. I love it when people have the balls to try something different. Me as a business owner and you know, came from nothing and made a decent amount of money doing it, I always admire people that take a risk, take a challenge. I love people being successful. It pumps me up. When I'm around people that are successful, it makes me want to do better as well. Yeah. So congratulations to you. You know, like you always say, you're never going to keep everybody happy, but you know, my always rule was if I went in front of 1,000 people, I'm trying to keep 80% of the people happy. Yeah. 20% I'll never keep happy. Doesn't matter what I say, what I do, what joke I say, what political thing I am, I'm never going to get 100%. 80 is the best I can get on my best day. 20% we're going to fucking hate me. Doesn't matter what I say or do, they'll hate my guts. Yeah. So I don't worry about the 20. I just try to worry about the 80. Are they happy? Yeah. You know,
I think you have a higher percentage than I do.
Yeah, maybe so. Not in the barrel racing world. I give these girls some shit, and they crawl up my ass for it. But you know, and in all due respect, I have a lot of respect for the really good barrel horse trainers, the girls and the guys. I really do, because any event, a world champion's a world champion. I don't give a fuck if it's a halter horse, a barrel racing horse, a reiner, a cutter, a cow horse. To win a world championship's not easy. Yeah. Because if it was easy, every arsehole would be doing it. Right. You know, my only advice to the barrel world is spend less money on bits and gadgets and more money on fucking getting them broke. Yeah. If you'll get these damn things broke, they will run a lot better. Yeah. They will stop a lot better. They will turn a lot better. You know, and that's my only complaint to it. But I have a lot of respect for the really good trainers. I really do.
I would say I've been very surprised how really good some of those top trainers are. And even some of the amateurs. There's some really good horsemen, some great trainers, some great horses. I've been really pleasantly surprised. Now you'll see some chaos, and you'll see some horses that, you know, probably shouldn't be in the pen, and maybe even some people that are on too much horse or whatnot.
And everyone should be everywhere.
Yeah. But there's some great and the people have been really good to us. They've been great to my family. It's been a great experience, and we love a lot of the people. We've developed some great relationships.
Are you breeding barrel horses now?
That's all we breed.
Oh, so you got out of breeding halter horses?
Well, I still have a few but I've got them at a partner's place, and I do race some flat track race horses. So I've got, I breed to, Apolitical Jess and Cowboy and some of those better. So I race some straight race horses, but most of our horses, I'd say 75 or 80 of the horses we have are straight barrel horses.
So did you learn your lesson on not standing in your own stud or not?
No, now I've got 5. It's horrible.
You're such a whore. You really are. You just can't help yourself.
I can't help myself. Yeah.
Any of these studs been good for you?
Yeah, it's been good.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I got a kick out of Jason and Charlie of how they went from pleasure horses, Western riding, and shit like that, of how they got into the barrel industry. Yeah. Like, it seemed like completely foreign.
For sure.
And they love it. They're passionate about it, and so
they're
forth.
doing a great job.
Are they in your program?
Yeah, they are. Yep, they were one of the later ones that joined.
Yeah.
But I think they've got 4 or 5 pink buckle slots. I might be, maybe it's 3. I think it's 4. And Charlie's a really good guy. I don't know him as well, but I deal with Jason all the time. We've become really good friends. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
They have a great, I really respect both of them and what they've done. And they breed, the number of mares that they breed a year to their stallions, they probably haven't shared that with you, but it's thousands.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
They're the best in the business.
They are. They're really class acts too. Yeah. Class act people. Well, I always ask the guests this before they leave, Chad. If you could go back and talk to a 21-year-old Chad, what would you tell yourself? Obviously, at that age, we're full of piss and vinegar. We may not even listen. We think we've ruled the world and we don't know shit. But if you could give yourself some life lesson advice, at your age now, what would you tell yourself?
The first thing I'd probably say is you're not as smart as you think you are. That would be the first thing.
Yeah.
Probably tell myself to buy Bitcoin. I wish I'd have known about that 10 years ago. But the most important thing is don't give up on your dreams, but you're not as smart as you think you are. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take a while to figure it out.
You know, one of my mentors, Ken Bray, he's been a great friend of mine, a mentor over the years. And one time I remember in business, went over to his place and I was bitching about employees and problems and shit that I was going through. And he just listened to me very calmly. And he just looked at me when I got done and he said, sometimes, Clinton, you got to get a few bloody noses to figure out how the playground works.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's true.
It is.
As much as you'd like to learn and to avoid those bloody noses, inevitably, you have to get some bloody noses to just figure out how shit works.
Yeah,
People can tell you how it works, but most of the time, we got to get our own bloody noses for it to really sink in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, I'm proud of you. You've done a hell of a job. Your wife's heavily involved in this business as well. That's great that a husband and wife team work together and keep building this kind of. Any of your kids involved in this?
Really, they've all been somewhat involved. Some of my kids are more involved than others. One of my daughters is a full-time employee. They all come to the events. My middle daughter, that's a nurse, can't come much, but she comes and she's our medical person there in case somebody gets hurt.
Yep.
So all of our kids have come to all of our events. It's my son-in-laws come. It's been a great family program.
That's awesome.
And Lance's family comes.
Yeah.
So it's a great deal.
Yeah. Well, cheers to you, Chad. Thank you,
Appreciate
brother.
it.
Great
Appreciate
to have
it.
you here. I'm proud of you. I just love success in the horse industry. I love talking to people like yourself that have had the balls to try something different. And it's obviously good for the whole industry. It's good for the barrel racers. It's good for the breeders. It's good for everybody. So I just love celebrating great people. I think people are going to be very interested in this podcast to hear about it. And I'm going to make the time to come to your event.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.
You know, I just wanted to take the time to genuinely thank all of our loyal listeners to the Uncut and Real Raw podcast. The success it's had has been absolutely phenomenal. We are in the top 1% of all genres of podcast in the country. And that in itself is pretty cool because, the equine industry as a whole is really small compared to like dogs, cats, NASCAR, sports. The amount of people that own dogs and cats and other pets compared to horses is amazingly different. So the fact that we're such a small niche industry and we're already in the top 1% of podcasts in the country is phenomenal. It's because of you guys' loyalty and the super guests that we have on. I can't thank the guests that are coming on for their realness, their dedication to tell a story, their successes and their failures. The podcast was just designed to be a hobby for me to bullshit and have a couple of cocktails and talk to some really cool people. Never in a million years did I dream that it would take off in the level that it has. But I just wanted to thank the loyal listeners, thank the guests. I'm going to keep bringing you real, genuine conversations that are not fucking politically correct, and we're going to just tell it how it is. And we just thank you for your support, and I just wanted to reach out to you. Thanks, guys. Today's episode was filmed and produced by Uncut Productions, marketing by Stewart & Associates, and organized and administrated by Down Under Horsemanship. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave a rating. Follow us and stay up to date on social media, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. See you next time, mate. Cheers.